Chandamama Ramayan, Part 55. This time Kuber, accompanied by two ministers named Shukra and Proshtapda, came to Ravana and said, O wicked one, no matter how much I have said, it did not enter your ears. He who drinks poison through ignorance attains wisdom only when the consequence is felt. You do not realize your own ignorance, you shall understand it while suffering in hell. It is futile to speak with you. Thereafter, a duel took place between the two brothers. Ravana countered all the weapons Kuber launched against him and waged a war of illusions. Kuber saw many forms, yet Ravana himself was nowhere visible. In that state, Ravana struck Kuber forcefully on the head with a make and felled him. The deities of the treasures took the bleeding Kuber to Nandanavana and provided treatment. In this manner, Ravana achieved victory over Kuber, took the Pushpaka Vimana, boarded it, and went to Sharavana. That mountain was glowing in a golden hue and appeared like a second sun. Upon reaching above it, the Pushpaka ceased its movement and stood still in the sky. Seeing that, Ravana asked his ministers who were with him, why has this chariot, which moves according to one's wish, stopped like this? Just then, Nandi, the attendant of Ishvara and one of great strength, came there and said to Ravana, the Shagriva, go back immediately. Lord Shiva is indulging in pleasures upon this mountain. Devas, Nagas, Yakshas, Daityas, Gandharvas, Danvas, and Rakshasas, no other living beings should come upon this mountain. Upon hearing these words, Ravana, trembling with fits of rage, asked, who is Shankara, and descended from the chariot to the foot of the hill. There he saw Lord Shiva, and at a short distance from him, Nandishwar standing like a second Shiva holding a trident. Seeing the Vannara-like face of Nandishwar, Ravana laughed uproariously like the thundering of a cloud. Nandi, who was none other than Shankara, grew angry at Ravana's laughter and cursed him, saying, since you laughed seeing my Vanara face, Vanaras of my very form, possessing strength equal to mine, shall surely annihilate you and your lineage. Ravana approached the mountain with disdain, and said to Nandi, I shall now uproot this very mountain that stopped my chariot. It appears you are unaware that I am a fearsome one, and thrusting his hands beneath the mountain, he began to lift it. The mountain shook and rose upward. Shiva, seeing all this, smiled and pressed the mountain slightly with his big toe. With that, Ravana's hands were trapped and crushed under the hill. In that agony, Ravana wailed most hideously. Ravana's ministers were stunned. They advised Ravana, saying, O king, satisfy Shankara. There is no other refuge but him. Offer prayers to him. Ravana, while weeping in pain, offered prayers to Lord Shiva. Finally, Lord Shiva showed mercy, allowed Ravana to withdraw his hands from beneath the hill, and said, I am pleased by your prowess, your pride, and your prayer. Based on the terrible sound you made when your hands were crushed, henceforth, the name Ravana shall be truly befitting of you. Now, you may go wherever you please. Then Ravana said, Mahadev, if you are satisfied with me, grant what I seek. I have already obtained the boon of deathlessness from the gods and others. I pay no heed whatsoever to insignificant humans. Lord Brahma has also given me long life. I beseech you for the remainder of my life and a weapon. Please grant them. Lord Shiva gave Ravana the remainder of his life and a sword named Chandrahasa, saying, never dishonor this sword. On the day it is insulted, it will surely return to me immediately. Having obtained boons from Lord Shiva in this manner, Ravana boarded his Pushpaka and travelled across the entire earth, harassing all the heroic kings. Those possessed of great valor perished fighting him. Wise ones realized they could not defeat him, accepted defeat, and surrendered to him. While wandering the world thus, Ravana once went to the Himalayas and saw a beautiful woman there who looked like a divine maiden. She was in a state of penance, wearing deerskin and matted hair like the sages. Ravana, infatuated by her beauty, asked playfully, O beautiful one, why have you taken up penance in this youth? Men would be enchanted seeing your beauty. Why this rigorous vow? She told her story to Ravana in this manner, Kushadhvaja, the son of Brihaspati, is my father. My name is Vidvati. Many gods, Gandharvas, Yakshas, and Rakshasas came to my father and asked him to give me in marriage. But my father did not agree. The reason was that he desired to have Lord Vishnu himself as his son-in-law. Knowing this, a Rakshasa named Dambhu came one night while my father was sleeping and killed him. My mother performed Sahagamna with him. I am performing penance with the intention of fulfilling my father's wish regarding Vishnu as my husband in my heart. Therefore, Ravana, you may leave now. Hearing these words, Ravana became possessed by lust, descended from the chariot, and said, "O girl, your mind has turned perverse out of arrogance. Otherwise, being a beauty of the three worlds, would you waste your youth like this? I am the Shagriva, the lord of Lanka. Become my wife and enjoy all pleasures. Who is Vishnu? Does he possess the austerities, the luxuries, or the might that I do?" Vedvati said, "If you had even a little sense, you would not speak of Vishnu so lightly." Immediately, Ravana grabbed her hair. Vedvati, in a fit of rage, turned her hands into swords and cut off her hair. Becoming like one who would incinerate Ravana with her fire of wrath, Vedvati kindled a fire and said to Ravana, "Obeys one. Having been insulted by you, I shall live no longer. I shall fall into this fire and give up my life, and I shall surely be born as an Ayonija and a chaste woman to destroy you," and jumped into the fire. That same Vedvati was born as Sita, grew up in the house of Janaka, became the wife of Rama, and with the strength of Rama, became the cause of Ravana's death. After Vedvati was consumed by the fire, Ravana again travelled the world on the Pushpaka and reached the place where King Marutta was performing a sacrifice with the gods by his side. Samvarta, the younger brother of Brihaspati, was conducting the sacrifice. Upon seeing Ravana, the Dikpalkas gathered there were terrified and assumed different forms. Indra became a peacock, Yam turned into a crow, Kuber took the form of a chameleon, and Varuna took the form of a swan. The rest of the gods took the form of some animal or the other in that way. Meanwhile, Ravana entered the sacrificial arena without hesitation, looked at Marutta and asked, "Will you fight? Or will you accept defeat? Who are you?" Marutta asked Ravana. Ravana laughed loudly and said, "Excellent. You do not even know Ravana. I do not think there is another in the three worlds who does not know of my strength and valor. I conquered my brother and seized this chariot." Hearing those words, Marutta fumed and said, "How great you are to have conquered your own brother who is like a father. Are you proud of having committed such a wicked deed? Wait a while, I shall take your life with my arrows." And he rose to take his bow and arrows. Then Samvarta intervened and said, "O king, do not be in haste, listen to what I say. If this Maheshwar sacrifice is obstructed in the middle, it will lead to the destruction of the lineage. Being in sacrificial initiation, why do you get angry? Why fight? Aside from that, how can you defeat this Rakshasa in war? He is invincible." Listening to the words of his guru, Marutta put down his bow and arrows and sat back in sacrificial initiation. Seeing that, Shukra, who was Ravana's minister, shouted loudly with joy, "Victory belongs to Ravana." Ravana devoured the sages dwelling within the sacrificial precincts, was satisfied, and went his way. Thereafter, the Dikpalkas assumed their true forms and gave various boons to the creatures whose forms they had assumed. Until that time, peacocks were black in color. Indra granted a boon that they would have many colors, that his 1,000 eyes would be an ornament in their feathers, that they would have no fear of snakes, and that the rain sent by Indra would bring them delight. Similarly, Yam granted a boon that crows would have no disease, that they would have no natural death, and that if the bellies of crows were full, the bellies of the ancestors in his world would be filled. Varuna gave the swans a body luster like foam, a life in water, and a comfortable existence. Kuber gave the chameleons a golden color. Wandering all over the world, Ravana went to all the great kings just as he had asked King Marutta, asking, "Will you fight with me? Or will you admit you are defeated?" Kings like Dushyanta, Surtha, Gadhi, Gaya, Pururva, and others admitted they were defeated by Ravana. Only King Anaranya, who was ruling Ayodhya, called Ravana to war. In the battle that ensued, the armies of Anaranya perished like bedbugs charred in a forest fire. In the duel, the arrows of Anaranya could do nothing to Ravana. When Ravana struck him on the head with his palm, Anaranya fell from the chariot to the ground, and while giving up his life, he cursed that Ravana would die at the hands of one who would be born in his Ikshvaku lineage. While Ravana was thus wandering the sky and terrifying the human race, one day the great sage Narada came across him over the clouds, opposite to his Pushpaka. Both stopped and spoke to each other. "Dear Ravana, I am greatly pleased seeing your strength and valor. But one thing does not please me. You, who have no death even from the gods, why do you show your prowess against lowly humans? Humans suffer in many ways with various vices, diseases, and old age that arrives in a moment, do they not? Does any hero engage in war with such people? Yam is killing them all anyway. Fight with that Yam and kill him. If you kill Yam, it is like conquering the entire world of mortals, is it not?" said Narda. O Narda, I am thinking of first conquering the netherworld, then heaven, taking control of the three worlds, and thereafter churning the ocean to obtain nectar, said Ravana. Why do you say you will go somewhere else, leaving the world of Yam which is right next to you? That is the very path you are traveling now, said Narda. Ravana laughed like the flashing of a dark cloud and said, You have spoken very well, Narda. A very pleasing word. I shall go to the world of Yam right now. I have already vowed to conquer all four Dikpalkas. I shall go now and take the life of that Yam who causes the fear of death to all living beings, and having saluted Narda and taken leave, he started towards the southern direction along with his ministers. Narda could not understand at all how death could occur to Yam who kills all living beings. Curious to see with his own eyes how Ravana would conquer that Yam, Narda also started towards the city of Yam. Chandamama Ramayan, Part 55 is complete. For now, Swasti.